Hi, everybody. I'm Brittany Lewis, a breaking news reporter here at Forbes. Joining me now is Forbes senior contributor, Adam Minsky. Adam, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
You're a student loan expert, and as of right now, where we sit, we are creeping up to the June 30th deadline where the student loan payment pause is being lifted. So you are writing that 30 million borrowers could face some problems once these payments start back up again. So tell us what you know.
So there are a lot of issues going on here with regard to the return to repayment. I think one of the biggest hurdles that are going to be facing borrowers is that since the COVID pause first went into effect in March of 2020, there's been a huge upheaval when it comes to student loan servicing. For more than 4 in 10 borrowers, if not more, the servicer that the borrower had when the COVID pause first went into effect is not the servicer that they have today. And that might cause a lot of problems for people in terms of restarting payments, knowing who to pay, who to contact. And sometimes when servicers change, information might be lost, records might be lost as well. Servicing transfers have historically been disruptive for borrowers, and so there's some concern that all the big servicing changes that have recently happened could set some borrowers up to fail.
Why have these servicers changed over the past few years?
So servicers are contractors for the Department of Education who essentially operate as agents of the U.S. Department of Education. And those contracts end sometimes. And when those contracts end, they don't always get renewed. And so what happened was several major servicers, their contracts ended, and they didn't want to renew. And so the Department of Ed had to find different servicers to take over those accounts. So some of the big ones that happened, so Fed Loan Services, which is an arm of FIA, the Pennsylvania Higher Education Assistance Authority. They were primarily handling the public service loan forgiveness program. Fed Loan Servicing did not renew its contract, so those accounts have largely been transferred over to MOHELA, a different federal loan servicer. In the meantime, Navient, which was one of the nation's largest servicers, also withdrew from the Department of Ed's loan servicing system, so a lot of those accounts have been transferred to a servicer called Advantage. And at the same time, another servicer called Great Lakes Higher Education, their accounts are in the process of being transferred over to Nelnet, which was a pre-existing U.S. Department of Ed servicer. So a lot of big changes impacting millions of accounts.
If I'm a borrower right now, I'm sweating. We are about a week out from that June 30th deadline. My first fear would be, how do I add this back into my budget, this monthly payment? My second fear would be, how do I figure out where the heck my servicer is? So you did do a quick rundown, but where can people figure this out?
So the best place to go as an initial step would be the Department of Education studentaid.gov web portal. You can log in using your FSA ID. That will give you a really good overview of your student loans, including where they are, what servicer is handling them, and what the servicer's contact information is. So that's a good place to start. The studentaid.gov website also has a good overview of repayment plan options, including a loan simulator that can provide you with estimates of monthly payments under various options. The pause technically ends 60 days after June 30th, which is the end of August. And because of billing cycles, the first billing due date is actually not expected until October. So borrowers who are worried still have plenty of time to look into this. I don't recommend delaying. Now is a good time to start, but I think logging into is a great first step.
Adam, I ask you this every single time, but I will ask you again because this deadline really is looming. What should borrowers do right at this moment after they finish watching our video?
Log into studentaid.gov, figure out where your loans are, what repayment plan you were in before. You can use the loan simulator to figure out, what your payment options might look like. Borrowers also should be factoring in their potential eligibility for other programs as well. For instance, the IDR account adjustment is a major program that can allow borrowers to receive retroactive credit toward loan forgiveness under both income-driven repayment plans and public service loan forgiveness. Some of those borrowers might be eligible for full discharge, others might not, but you might might need to take certain steps to continue to qualify for eventual loan forgiveness. Again, all that information can be at studentaid.gov. For borrowers who have had their loan servicers change over the last few years, once you track down who your new servicer is, it's not a bad idea to set up an online account directly through that servicer so that you can log in, make payments, submit documents, and know what's going on with your account.
And this payment pause has been extended for 3 years, both by the Trump administration and then by the Biden administration. We have come to a deadline before, but then the pause has always been extended. Can we expect this now or no?
There probably will not be another extension. And the reason is because President Biden signed a federal spending bill earlier this month to raise the debt ceiling. Now, that was a very large bill that had a lot of parts to it, but one of the provisions was a codification of the end of the student loan pause. So basically, he is now bound by that legislation to end the pause 60 days after June 30th, which again is the end of August. Now, the legislation does allow for a further student loan pause in the event of a new national emergency, but barring that, the pause actually is coming to an end. Payments are actually going to be due. This really is the final couple months.
I do now want to switch gears a little bit. We are expecting an imminent decision from the Supreme Court about President Biden's sweeping student loan plan. What can you tell us about the timing there, or any details you have for us?
Yeah, so today was the last official date on the Supreme Court's calendar to release opinions, but the decision did not come out today. It's not the only one that's still outstanding. I believe there's over a dozen or so cases that we're still waiting on. Additional rulings are expected to come out tomorrow on Friday at about 10 a.m., but we expect there to be a couple of additional release dates added to the Supreme Court's calendar, probably next Thursday and Friday as well. I would be surprised if the decision on the loan forgiveness plan is not released by the end of next week, but we should know more tomorrow, either with a decision in hand or with some additional dates on the calendar.
Adam, once we get that ruling, I hope you come back on. I know you will, and break it down with us. At least I hope. Adam Minsky, thank you so much for joining me.
Always a pleasure to be here. Thank you.